Hey, welcome back to Practice Country Cooking. I'm Ben, and today I'm going to cook a brisket on my new offset. So first thing we're going to do, take it out of the cryovac. I always cut it on the fat side. That way you're not scoring the meat. So when I'm looking through the meat case, I try to find one that's pretty uniform, about the same thickness. This one's all gashed up. Perfect. What you get is I'm going to remove this decal fat here. You see it's already starting to come off just my thumb. So I'll take a knife. I'm going to use a sharp knife and just guide it. And no loss, it's all fat. We'll save that and use it for making tallow. Take some of this. Pretty much want to take anything loose off that's going to make it, that's going to burn when you're trying to cook it, like the mohawk here. So now we got the mohawk off, we can flip this around again. It just lays flatter. Now I like to trim it round everything off. You don't want any sharp edges because that'll just burn. Cut with the grain. That'll also help you from making weird knife marks in the final product. I put this in the freezer for about an hour before I took it out of the cryovac. That just helps keep it firm when you're trying to trim this. The silver skin will shrink up, and that's what causes your brisket to curl. So I take off as much as I can, but you don't have to. Like, this is pretty much as I'm going to do on this side. I like to take a decent amount of fat off the fatty end. Leave some fat on the flat part. This has got so much fat inside it, you don't really need that. I don't like that much of a fat cap on the top, but you do whatever you want to do. So now this is so thin, I push it down. This is super thick here, 3 fingers, 1 finger here. So I'm going to trim this down here like something like this. That'll keep it so the flat is pretty thick and you can get pretty even slices. So I'm gonna go through here. See, this is so thin, it would burn. We're gonna save it, use it, grind it up for hamburger meat, and then round off anything that could burn. To season it, we're going to be using the Killer Hogs TX brisket rub. I don't use a binder. This is pretty tacky, just right out of the cryovac. This has a good amount of salt and pepper in it, some onion, garlic, all the flavors you want. So now, what I like to do is let this tack up and we'll get the smoker fired up. So now we got the offset. This is my first real cook on this. Now we got it up to temp. I'm going to try to keep it around 275 degrees. So we'll throw the brisket on. Now we're going to take the brisket, we're going to throw it on fat end towards the fire in the middle. This is a 12-pound brisket. Shape it the way you want it to be cooked, the way you lay it on here is the way it's going to cook. That's how it's going to look when it's done. All right, we're at the 3-hour mark. Take a look at it. I haven't opened the lid since. Looks nice, getting good color. Nothing too crispy. Yeah, it looks good. We'll let this go for probably another 2 hours. Then we'll probe it and start to see where the temperatures are. All right, so the grinder I threw in the freezer for about an hour. Trimmed up our fat and our beef, separated the two. We're going to use the fat for tallow. So what I'm going to do is any of these big wide pieces I'll throw aside. The rest will run through the grinder. So some of the smoke molecules will stick to water-based stuff, so it'll stick to the meat. Some other molecules will stick to fats. So if you render the tallow in a smoky environment, you get 2 different types of smoke, and we're gonna be wrapping it with tallow, so that's what we wanna do. So, we'll put this right where that hot spot is. Get another log ready. And then the fat that we put in a bag, we're just gonna throw a piece into the smoker. You only need a little piece like that. So we're at the 6-hour mark. We're going to check the temperature of the brisket. Then we're going to strain out the fat that we rendered down. See how much tallow we got out of it. Oops. The brisket looks pretty good. About 169. 152. The underside isn't burned or anything. So that's still got a couple more hours to go. We'll check on that in 2 hours. We really want that to get like 175-ish before we wrap it. But here's our liquid gold. We will pour off. And that's our smoked tallow. We ended up with about 3 cups. We'll let this keep going for about, I'm gonna say 2 hours. We'll check it again. You really want it to be about 175 degrees. That is enough where the fat has rendered out. As the meat heats up, it tenses up. It's gonna extract a lot of water. You want a good amount of fat rendered, and you want a lot of the water to expel before you wrap it. If you do it beforehand, it's gonna leak into the wrap, and then it's gonna steam it, and then you're gonna end up with pot roast instead of a brisket. So really want this to cook out. Squeeze out as much of the water out of it as you can, and then we'll go from there. But that is our gold. So we hit 178 degrees internal. That's about the time I want to wrap it. It's about through the stall, and we're going to do a foil boat. It looks awesome. I mean, it looks pretty good. So we'll set that right in the middle. Pull up the aluminum foil and make our boat. We'll set this right back where it was. All right, we're at the 12.5-hour mark. We're going to check the brisket and see how we're doing. That's probing super tender. We're at the 202 mark. We're going to bring this inside to rest overnight. We're going to rest our brisket in a sous vide bath and a sous vide cooler I made. So we'll transfer this over. Now it's in our bag. We'll add some of that tallow that we made. All right, it's time to slice this open and see how we did. That looks delicious. Look at that. That's what we want right there. Good smoke ring, nice and juicy. Got a hell of a smoke ring on it. Look at that. Does the flop. Pulls apart. My God. That is good. Probably the best brisket I ever made. What difference an offset makes. So that's it. Wanted to try the new offset. Thing works great. There's a major difference between a pellet smoker, using a Weber with a snake method, and doing an offset. Offset's the way to go. If you like this video, please hit that like and subscribe button. Watch my past videos. I got more videos coming out every week. You can follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Threads, of course YouTube. Go to crackscountrycooking.com. I got recipes, seasonings, all sorts of stuff on there. All right, see ya. It's dinner time.